Mr. President, my dear distinguished colleagues, I am Suleiman Abdurrahman Kau Sumaila, representing Kano South Senatorial District, Mr. President, from Kano. Mr. President, although we are discussing the general principle of this bill and later from the tradition, from our tradition, we are going to commit it to the second reading and allowed for public hearing. Mr. President, there is a serious problem which I want us to look into. Anything to do with the culture, tradition, and belief of the people, this time around, we need to be careful. And we need to take a serious look on the content, wording, and what may likely come out when in the process or after finishing this legislation. Mr. President, my dear respected colleagues, recently there is serious problem, accusation and counter-accusation from so many sources, more especially Islamic or religious, both Christians and Muslim clergies, against what they term as a legislation against our culture and tradition. When the mover or sponsor of this bill leading the debate, I pick one word which may likely dented or cause confusion on what we are doing: male domination. It is very serious. We are people, or this country has a strong, tight, strong belief of our cultural tradition and belief. For example, in my belief, if you say a total domination of male to the female, you need to come clear and explain to me or explain to us what do you mean by total domination. Maybe the way you are thinking is different with the way I am thinking. The way you are thinking maybe is different with the way my belief is thinking. For example, in the holy book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he stated, and we believe and we are committed, that ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala al-nisa'i. We have so many verses, we have so many traditions from the holy prophet, and I believe our brothers from the other side have their own culture and tradition. It is now we collect this bill. I am advising the Senate and advising us, we need to be careful, and we need to take a serious look on this issue. The country is on fire, and the government on its own part, it is doing its own best. And I quite agree with the government, explaining its the meaning and the intent on its mission, ambition on some of the international treaties and convention. We need to join hands with the executive. We need to join hands with Nigerians to see how we can have a smooth running of governance. I don't want a situation where we will add petrol to the fire. It is very sensitive, and I advise the Senate, we need to be careful. We need to take consideration and cognizance on what is going on recently in Nigeria. I so submit, Mr. President. This is my position. Thank you.
Well, the Senator Kau, you spoke for and against, but in between, I understand, general principles of the bill, you spoke for and against. Then in between, you also cautioned the Senate on cultural diversities. But one thing is clear, you are not opposed to this bill going for second reading. and being subjected to public hearing.
No, sir. Sir, since we are discussing the general principle of the bill, it is now we collected the bill, going through the bill. Allowed us, we, the Senate, or let us go back and study it, then come back again, discuss the general principle of the bill, then commit it to the committee of the whole, because I don't want a situation where we will start kicking against the bush. It is very, very serious. We need to take time and study this is my position.
Yes, this is what I want to advise, that you go and study the bill very well. So during the public hearing, you bring out all the salient points to convince the committee that will handle this before they bring the report to the Senate. For me, we shouldn't even debate it. There are a few things here. The idea of carnal knowledge of a minor, our consent in most jurisdictions is immaterial. Even in Nigeria, the penal code also states that consent is immaterial. Because, like Senator Mongunu said, she may give consent, but she's not mature enough to understand what she's doing. So any man that has that wishes to take advantage of her is described in the English language as a pedophile. So it is the place of the Senate, the National Assembly, to protect the girl child and to protect minors in our society. We will take cognizance of cultural diversities, but we must protect our children and the future of the country. Another thing that I find very compelling is this section 27 of the Act, which vests jurisdiction only in the High Court of the FCT. Does it mean that this does not apply generally across Nigeria? The High Court of FCT, will it mean that if an unwholesome act occurs in Sokoto, the person must bring it to the High Court of FCT? So there are a lot of things that we need to amend and calls for amendment. So it's not cast in concrete. We haven't passed it yet. But all we are doing is just to look at the methodology and to be convinced that it should go for second reading. So I think all the people who have spoken allude to the fact that this bill should actually go for second reading. So those in support that this bill be read a second time, say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.